Hello, everybody. Welcome to Geek Camp today. We are focusing on the Should I Switch series, which has been what we have been doing all month of March. And today we are doing Thinkific, which is a popular one for course creators, I think, especially. So
Indeed.
this is going to be interesting. As we were planning it yesterday, I was like, "Oh, there's some things that we didn't know about."
Yep. Yeah.
So
And
we're
I
gonna
think,
talk about this. Yeah.
well, and I think it's really important that, I think anybody who's been watching us for a while or who's been tuning in should know that Susan and I have an incredible bias towards fulfillment and towards nurture and towards the learning experience that we're trying to do. And that we usually work with people who are not just interested in teaching from a, like, let me give an amazing TED Talk perspective, but let me actually take you down a guided learning experience perspective, right? And it's different ways to educate, to teach, and to guide. And so I think today, some of that bias is going to really start to come out in terms of, I think when we're talking about in the Should I Switch series today, and the one we're going to talk about next week. So today's Thinkific, next week is Experienceify. These are two tools that are pretty great actually at creating learning experiences that are like out of the box, but not like template cookie cutter boring, right? Like you can jazz them up a little bit and you can do some stuff in the ways of really good kind of learning theory type of things. So anyway, so yes, it is it'll be an interesting one today in terms of the decisions are less clear if you are wanting some particular things around that learning experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so without further ado, let's dive. I'll go ahead and share my screen. The Should I Switch series. And so today, again, we're thinking about Thinkific. Now, when we are considering the Should I Switch, we are considering obviously the funnel system and how you're able to sell the offer or the product, the customer CRM autoresponder part of it, the membership area. And by membership area, we don't just mean subscription model business membership, right? We mean like the learning hub and the content management hub, and then your community. And how do we do community? So those are the things that we consider as we go down. So today we're talking about Thinkific. You should also know that when we think about these Should I Switch, we have both classic ClickFunnels and 2.0 in mind. We are still very much in the camp that majority of our clients are still on 1.0. We would advise most people to still be on 1.0. And then, and we're 2.0 hopeful. And so, or like we're hybrids in a lot of cases of 2.0, 1.0, especially in the way of membership areas is still largely 1.0. And then funnels is, getting better and improving on 2.0. Okay. So as I think about Thinkific, the interesting thing is that just like I talked about last week with Teachable, the questions are the same with my Thinkific people, but the difference is that with Teachable, people come with a bigger pain point in terms of the point of sale and the access. I don't get that big of it's almost akin to the Go High level of like, I'm not really interested in switching, but there's all this hype over there. So what am I missing? Right. The only pain point that Thinkific people will experience is that the funnel system in Thinkific is really poor, like really bad. And so if you actually want to get serious about a funnel strategy and selling your products and offers via a funnel, Thinkific is really bad at that. And so that's probably one of the pain points that people may feel, especially as they start to go out to more cold traffic. The people who I've worked with who have decided to stay on Thinkific predominantly sell to warmer traffic. And so the kind of not so great funnel experience, it doesn't hinder it as much just because who they're selling to is like, it might be a brick and mortar and it's an extension of a brick and mortar experience. And so the relationship is already there. So they really are just needing a checkout experience. And so, and Thinkific can do that just fine. It's not even, it still has some issues, but I mean, it gets the job done. So, what people come is they say, yes, I want to make things more simple and not have so many systems, or cost of tech. I need to make more and get more people into my offer. So I want to start to go to cold traffic and leverage funnel strategy. And then the customer experience is suffering between sales and access is another potential one in Thinkific. So if you're trying to think like, okay, how do I make this decision? So number one is user experience. So Thinkific is geared towards learning. That if we think about ClickFunnels, the genesis of ClickFunnels is a funnel, and so it does funnels really good. Well, the genesis of Thinkific is a learning platform. And so they are constantly thinking and trying to improve learning experiences. And so I think it is geared towards that in most of the functionality. And then they slapped on the marketing and the funnel system because I think they kind of had to, right? But it wasn't like the main thing of why they get up in the morning and try to do what they do. So it is slightly easier to use. It is not as easy as Teachable. So Thinkific, there is a little bit of a learning curve because they have this like global nature in the way that everything is created. And it's a little bit harder to set up your courses. It's not quite as easy as Teachable, but it is easier than, if you want to do anything akin to that in ClickFunnels, it's easier in Thinkific. The customer experience also is a little bit better actually than status quo, and it gets the job done. And Thinkific has this really cool marketplace that you can add some really awesome enhancers to the learning experience, which I'll talk about a little bit, which just like take your learning experience a little bit to the next level and make it super cool. So that from a user experience standpoint, it is a little bit more technical, a little bit more complicated. You are going to invest a little bit in the learning curve, but it's not as much as I would say ClickFunnels is to do the same thing. For admin control, this is absolutely so similar to like Go High Level. If I said, hey, if you want a whitelist, that is your only solution, right? Same with Thinkific. If you are really big on wanting the admin control to like see where your customers are, where they're at, what did they pass, what did they not pass, what videos did they consume, what did they, how far did they get? Did they do X, Y, and Z based on how you made it, right? And like be in there and playing with that and actively looking at that. And that's really important to you to be able to make tweaks and be super active. I think that Thinkific is 10 times better than ClickFunnels on that front. And even like Susan, Dan, and I, we can make some really fancy systems and we can create similar type of admin experiences, but it's more of a view only experience. It is not you as an admin coming in and making adjustments based on the data that you see in order to improve the learning experience. So if that admin control piece is really important to you, I would stay in Thinkific if you're there. And we're going to go even deeper into this because Susan and I have a really sad story to tell. We learned this one the hard way. And so, yes, so we'll talk a little bit about that, of why that became like a key decision making. In terms of customization, you are still stuck with templates. You are still stuck with like the left nav and the content area. But they do have, because they have a marketplace, there's some pretty cool enhancements that you can do. And you can add a little bit of code. It's actually not as free on the code front though, as ClickFunnels and what you could do there. In terms of controlling access, again, access control can kind of become a nightmare if you have your funnel system and then your access control over in the different system. You're kind of left with this weird like zap thing. The handoff is really awkward. So it is problematic in terms of there's not really a smooth transition between your funnel system and your content system. So the flow is going to be a little bit rough. And then the cost. So is it worth it to have the extra cost of Thinkific? I think it depends on your intention of the learning experience. And then we'll go ahead and dive into what is the associated cost with ClickFunnels. So we'll go ahead and go here. And Susan, do you want to speak a little bit to what we found here?
Yes. Okay. So Thinkific does have, I think, four different plan levels, including, I think their first one's free. But what makes our decision to start with the $74 a month basic function to do this comparison for is because that's the one that we see is the plan that you would need in Thinkific to even be in the same realm of the ClickFunnels basic plan of what features you're allowed to have. So we are comparing the $74 a month plan, but just know there are 2 other ones that are cheaper. And there's one that is more. So funnel strategy. I put funnel strategy on here because this is a huge key decision of like, well, which one am I going to use? And because our opinion is that the Thinkific wasn't built for funnel strategy. Like Andrea said, you can make carts, you can make some pages, but if you want any sort of funnel strategy, like what Russell Brunson teaches, you cannot do it in Thinkific. And you're very, very limited to what you can do with even the pages you can use. You can't even edit the cart pages very much at all, right? So our opinion is like, if you're going to use Thinkific, you're still going to need ClickFunnels. So we put $97 a month on there you're going to need ClickFunnels if you're going for a funnel strategy. Autoresponder, it's again, not good, not great. So ClickFunnels Classic or 1.0 also has an autoresponder in it, but we would never use it. We don't recommend it. So we have like, you're going to need ActiveCampaign or something else. And ActiveCampaign is our choice. So we say the same thing for Thinkific as well. Videos, you can host your videos in Thinkific. You can't do that in 1.0, and you can kind of do that in 2.0 at the moment. Membership hubs, it's included across the board. There's a place for you to host your content for your courses and your memberships. That's what that one is. Now, this next one's interesting. This is one we just learned about yesterday. So Thinkific now has what they call communities, and it appears to be a built-in community, like not an integration, but it's built into Thinkific. And that is kind of a standout feature for them. So ClickFunnels can't do that in either. I know that they're working on something for 2.0, but we don't have that right now. And we don't know if it's going to be built in or if it's going to be an integration or embed with Circle. So we can't really speak to that. But right now, if a community that is within your course area, the membership area, is important, Thinkific is probably the way to go. And then advanced customization, again, it's included when you're at a certain level of Thinkific. So advanced customization, meaning you can edit the HTML and the CSS. And I think the $74 a month plan says that you can have advanced customization of the courses themselves. So that's another reason why we went with that plan. So you're looking at, if you do the comparison of the prices on the bottom, low end for if you want something comparable to ClickFunnels, and you're still going to need ClickFunnels, $180 a month. High end, $255 if you want to go in with their higher plan, which just gets you a little bit more of a few things, and it increases your limits on things. So we're still looking at something that if cost wise, if you're looking at cost, it's not any more efficient with your money. 2.0, while you're missing kind of the members area, it's like the experience you want, it's still cheaper. So do you want to do kind of your thoughts on that, Andrea, after looking at the pricing?
No, I mean, I think it's always just so interesting, right? Because it's like, I think one thing that people think about is like, if I am in Thinkific and I switch to ClickFunnels, right, then this is a clear winner. But if it's the decision of like, well, I want to leverage ClickFunnels and have Thinkific, right, then just cost-wise, it doesn't necessarily equate. And you are opening it up to the kind of the hard transfer, you know what I mean, on the purchase.
Yeah.
But what you're giving up is that admin control. And so again, I think that it really is like, know thyself, so if you're really wanting that admin control and to be able to go into the back end and make adjustments, I do think that Thinkific is a better option. If you are wanting to consolidate, and I think if you're wanting to have an equivalent type of experience in ClickFunnels, you would need to either do the time investment like Susan and I did in Dan's course in order to get it there, or pay for somebody like me, Susan, and Dan to build it for you. So there is, what's not reflected in this price point is probably like a little bit of like project cost, you know what I mean, in order to get that experience, what it needs to be in 1.0 for now.
And I just kind of want to emphasize a point that you've made a couple times now, is that, so from what we're saying, it's like, oh, well, if I want like the best system, I need ClickFunnels for my funnels and I need Thinkific for my members hub. But there's the in between, an active campaign for email, but there is the in between. There is the problem with getting them to all communicate the way that they need to. When someone purchases in ClickFunnels, what information are you able to pass to Thinkific? How does that handle sending them how does that handle like creating their accounts into your members area? So there's a lot of like questions in between that I know Andrea has dealt with. And if you want to say more of like your experience on that.
Yeah. I mean, it's always looking for a good solution, right? So in those handoffs, and I think it's just a matter of where do you want to put your attention, right? So it's the trade-offs, right? So you can, and these are not insurmountable problems. They're just known problems that you'll have to figure out creative solutions to overcome. But again, you're doing it because you get this other reward, right? And so I think you get to decide what's best for you and your business and the problems you want to address. So I think, just like Susan said, so I actively choose, I want to use Active Campaign. Well, what that means then is we're going to probably deal with some, email deliverability stuff. We might deal with like making sure tags are always straight across, like when you grow to a lot, so like there's just some problems that we know that we're going to deal with in choosing those solutions. But I know I was actually just on last night with a client. I was like, without a shadow of a doubt, I can tell you like where your people are in an automation, how to get them into the automation, how to get them out of the automation, what your open rates are, what your click-through rates are. You know what I mean? Like without a shadow of a doubt, this is what you're going to get. What you're not going to get is like, you're going to have to pay a little extra. You're going to have to, you know what I mean? And so it's just it's just those trade-offs. But I think the more that you understand those trade-offs, then you get to decide based on what's important to you.
Yeah. All right. We have some like comparisons now, right?
We do.
Like,
oh man.
visual.
Okay. So let's tell this story.
Okay.
So this is the story. I feel like we need to break into like a Gilligan's Island sound, like off one night on a trail. Anyway, but okay. So this is the story of, we were working with a client and it was a Thinkific rip out. So at the time, the client had probably 80 classes on Thinkific. And there was a lot of, like most people who come to us, right? There was a lot of investment in ClickFunnels. I was excited about ClickFunnels. I'm even like a 2CX member. Like I'm all in on funnels, right? And I'm like, great, let's go all in on funnels. And so I knew at the time that what we could build in ClickFunnels was better than any experience that we could do in Thinkific. I still believe that to be true, right? So we, in our zest and our zeal, started off. So it was a full ensemble. So there was Dan, there was me, there was Susan's sister, Joanne, and we made the most amazing experience on ClickFunnels. So let me just kind of show you a little bit about that. I have a story to tell here through the visuals. So let's see. Will this play? Here we go.
Play. Oh, good.
Okay. There we go. All right. So this is us logging in, and that might be a little bit small. I'm going to actually go here so you guys can see it nice and big. So this is the story. So, and I'll go ahead and fast forward it here and make it go on double speed. So we did our typical, like we have what's called an open front end. We can handle all of the, like, if I have an email or I don't have an email, or I forgot my password, or I don't have a password, or like, how do I get into the system, right? So we can handle all of that. So we did our typical, like, that's all good. We're smooth sailing so far. It's all looking good. And so then so come on, man, I'm talking about this screen for a long time. Let's keep going here. So I think it's a weird thing because it's in Canva and it's playing.
Well, I see the time. The time is moving over on the
Yes,
side, like your
it is
loom time.
moving.
So the
Yes.
visual is working.
Yes.
Maybe you were just doing like an intro to her or to whoever
Yeah.
this video is
Here we
for.
go. We're going to go over here and we're going to do it this way because I think this will be a little bit better. There we go. Okay. So can we see that okay? All right, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. So it was just not playing. Okay. So we're logging in and I'll go ahead and fast forward this. Okay. So we're here and we are logging in. Look.
You were just on this page a really long time.
I know. I
There
was
we
like,
go.
man, I must have been talking about the login. Okay. So, and this is, we had also done a summit for this. And so we had like, it was kind of cool. We had this dashboard and everything is coming in. And so you could see, like, you could have access to the summit. You could have access to the other online courses. And it was so cool because, like, basically it would have this whole adventure. So we broke down, it was like 10 hours worth of Tango videos. We broke down every step. It was interactive. It was talking to a database. We said, hey, what day do you want to do Tango? We would remind them on that day from Active Campaign. They'd come in to get their passport stamped there, and they would come on. We'd have this little, there's 8 destinations that they could go to. They'd be dancing their way through it. There was like this interactive video element that we created with Vimeo, and people would come. They could say like, okay, it's your turn now. And so this is what you're going to do. Mimic these people. Like, it's like date night. We're doing Tango. We're learning it together. And this is the activity solo. And you're going to keep going. And then we would have this like really cool thing where now it's like I'm at the end of my destination 1 and I get a surprise where it's like a special Easter egg training that I wasn't expecting because we know that surprise is important. So right here, boom, you get a surprise, special video unlocked. Woo! And so then like this is a special training that you get that you weren't expecting. So it was super cool, right? Like, they're going through and they're learning and they're going on their destination and they're stamping their passport and it's increasing in complexity. We were all very happy. Like, it was like,
This
okay,
is so awesome. I'm like looking back at this because it's been a while since we worked on this one. I'm like, this was freaking amazing.
Yeah, it was. And it was like, and we have an Airtable database that it's talking to. So just like in Thinkific, we could see everywhere where people were landing, every button click, like how far they got, what stamps they were on. Now is integrating with Active Campaign. So we could send nurture emails. We could see like, hey, it's Tango night. You're on destination 5, right? So like all of this was planned and it was awesome. And so you can see, like, I can see where I'm at my passport and I could keep going. The destinations wouldn't unlock until you got past, like, you had to pass the destinations in order to go to the new destination. So it was good learning in terms of like holding people where they're at until they're ready. So, I mean, all in all, like, this is what we were able to do with 1.0. Okay. Here's where it went tragically wrong. So where it went tragically wrong and where it was our fault for not putting enough emphasis on this particular client wanted to be one of those clients where she was in control on the back end. She wanted to be able to switch stuff up. She wanted to be able to see, like, is it working? How can I respond to my students? How can I, be in there? So at that time, let me pause really quick. So what you're seeing now is at the end of the day, we very sadly came to the decision of, you know what, 1.0 is not right for you and ClickFunnels isn't right for you. You need to stay in Thinkific so that you can have that level of control. You can adjust stuff as you want. You can take different pieces of it. So let me try to replicate what we did in 1.0 to the best of our ability in Thinkific. So what you're looking at right now is not Thinkific out of the box. So I did a ton of research on their marketplace and add-ons. Like, how could we recreate the passport experience? How could we recreate the being able to move to the destinations experience, right? How could we recreate holding them at a place until they're done? How could we recreate the surprise Easter egg, lesson? Like, all of these things, right? Of like, how can we do that in Thinkific? So it took me quite a while, but I eventually found an add-on called Playeh. It's Playeh that allowed me to do that. It was quite confusing in terms of like the global control on Thinkific, but it is possible. So what you're looking at right now is all of the work that we did on 1.0. We translated that to Thinkific. And here's the best that we possibly could do. So you're going to see it's quite different in the experience, but it hit some of the marks. So here they have this weird control depending on your theme. And it was very hard because it's global, to make that video any bigger. Like that was kind of it. If you know more code, you maybe could do it. But again, it has this weird impact on all of the other courses in your Thinkific account. So you had to be really careful with like what you were doing in here. We couldn't simulate the like input that triggered a nurture campaign. Like that wasn't really possible. This was the best we could do in terms of like, you got a stamp. And then we did like kind of a lame little GIF about the stamp getting, over there is part of that Playa experience where it showed the graphic and the person moving, but it wasn't like right in your face. So a lot of times people kind of miss it over there. And then again, like we just did a little movie about, and this was the unlock bonus, which again isn't horrible. It's close. That's you're on your way, moving destination, to the next stop. And so you can kind of see like it's good enough. Like it's not as good as it was over on ClickFunnels, but it had most of the things. So you can see there, yay, you're on your way, like keep going. And it did lock and you could see it. It wasn't quite as smooth. It didn't demand quite as much attention, like all throughout the journey. But again, like you can kind of see like, okay, it's going, it's making its way. And people are, they can go through it. They still had the interaction video because that's a Vimeo feature. So I could do the embedded video from Vimeo to keep the embedded interaction with the video. And you still kind of have the sense of getting your passport stamped. The nurture part kind of really did fall to the wayside. But she could also see like when they complete and continue, she could at least see that progress in the backend admin, and she had full control. Okay, so now let's talk about the funnel. So we made an amazing funnel for this that was based off of another, like the Guitar Hero, where we'll show you what it looks like in 1.0. In Thinkific, though.
Yeah, go ahead. Nicole built this, right?
Yes, Nicole built that.
Okay, yep. Shout out to Nicole.
Yep, shout out to Nicole. So the up here, this is a huge problem with Thinkific sales funnels. So in Thinkific sales funnels, you can't get rid of that top nav. That is hugely problematic whenever you're making a funnel because you want a single call to action. You don't want them to go away from your sales page, right? But unfortunately with Thinkific and the theme that we had and how it all works, we had to keep that navigation at the top, which is not ideal. So we couldn't get rid of that. We were really limited in terms of like the spacing and the parallax. So I'll let this keep running just so you can kind of see what it's like over in Thinkific. And then it has kind of a really like not so great way of, those are buttons that you see there. And basically it's just like ready for the adventure, and you would go to a checkout page. The buttons were acting really weird when I recorded this. We got them fixed eventually, but again, it was like a weird. So now this is what the ClickFunnels page looked like super cool parallax. Like this could be you and your experience, transform date night into this, learn tango, super fun, like little tiny adventures. This was like at each stage, like what they're going to learn. And it talked all about it at each of the destinations. And then it like went through and like the key things, very funnel-esque, right? And then what's your journey? Here you go. Here's your offer stack. And then at the time it was a wait list. It was going to be a 2-step order form, but we wait listed it just while I was getting ready. So you could see that it's like, it's much different in terms of what we were able to accomplish on the Thinkific side, or on the ClickFunnels side versus Thinkific side. But again, at the end of the day, it gave the control, back to the customer, which was most important for her and her business. The other thing that I will give a shout out. So this is the, just to show you on the Thinkific side, they have the ability to do, much more in-depth analysis of where your students are at. So this is the back end of Thinkific, and you can see, gosh, it really wants me to quit these applications. So the back end over here is I can manage my learning products, which is where, you make your products basically. But I think what's really cool is to support your students. So you can get certificates, there's discussions, you can do reviews, you can do assignments, you can do quiz and survey, you can send notifications. So again, just a lot more robust features in terms of the course and helping them along the course and being able to see their progress. Now, again, in terms of like injecting nurture stuff, what we see next week with the Experienceify is actually even better. But again, Thinkific, there's a lot of intention that goes into it and you can create it. So from a learning experience alone and having that degree of control, and just even like you can see here, the reporting, right? It's just better than anything that we've seen on the ClickFunnels side that's not custom built by us so far.
Mm-hmm.
So,
awesome.
So that is, and you can see like student engagement, which is another really popular graph. I don't have anything obviously there right now, but to be able to see what they're doing. So that is, I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen now. So that is basically, if you're thinking about coming over from Thinkific to ClickFunnels or how to incorporate it, I would say if you really love the admin control and you do want to do a deeper dive into the learning experience, it does create a pretty good learning experience and you should stay with Thinkific. If you want to come over ClickFunnels, you're probably looking at like a project cost for us to create that for you. And you're giving up a little bit of admin control. It's us probably working more together on the future, right? But you are all in ClickFunnels and you don't have that pain point of the carryover. So there's just a lot in terms of the decision making, but I will say that Thinkific is a pretty cool little tool if you really want to create a great learning experience and want control over that experience 100%.
Yeah. One thing that Andrea was saying yesterday is like, okay, if they can just make it so that it's Thinkific is inside of ClickFunnels, like if they can get their courses and membership stuff to be like Thinkific, we could just stick it in there. But have it be ClickFunnels. Then we would have like the system we need.
Yeah, and I think what Thinkific did really well though too is that it is a platform. So they have this really cool marketplace where there's some pretty innovative things that you can inject into a learning experience and it's all native on the platform, right? And so I think my hope is actually not that ClickFunnels corporate makes it, because frankly, I don't think that's the skill set inside those walls. But I do think that there's incredible innovation in the marketplace around learning experiences. So my hope is that it comes more from like the marketplace in 2.0 in order to do that. That would be my hope for ClickFunnels in terms of learning experiences.
Yeah, that's a great point. And that's the move that we see them making by being a platform that will have a marketplace. So if they can just get the foundation of it right, the foundation a little more simple, a little more easy to work with, then open it up to people to fill in those gaps with their innovations and genius.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, there's Thinkific. So take that for what it is. I'll help you decide what you should do if you're already a Thinkific user.
Yeah.
And okay, so next week we will tackle Experienceify. A lot of you are probably like, I've never even heard of that one. That's okay. We'll compare it to ClickFunnels and give you the lowdown, and you can decide if you use Experienceify, should we switch to ClickFunnels, or if you don't use it, maybe you should switch to that one. We'll let you know next week. Okay, today's Thursday, so we have Geekout Academy hot seats coming up later. And just if you're not in Geekout Academy and you're like, what do you guys do on those hot seats? Well, you come and you bring your problems and we help you work through those problems. It is not counseling, but it is tech support, and we talk strategies.
There's a little counseling.
There's a little bit of counseling. But...
Yep. And it can be for 1.0 or 2.0 or any surrounding system.
Yes.
Mm.
And then tomorrow, so tomorrow we also have our Friday live stream. Andrea, you told me what you wanted to talk about tomorrow, but I don't remember what it was.
Active campaign integration in 2.0.
Active campaign. Yes. So Andrea's had more time. I have not. I'm still not touching it yet, but Andrea's dove into what does the active campaign integration in ClickFunnels 2 look like. So we're excited to see what she's come away with and what she's learned about it since it first came out, which was just a couple weeks ago. So that'll be fun. That's tomorrow. All right. Anything else? I think that's it.
All right. Awesome.
Come hang out with us. All right. Bye, everybody.
Okay. Bye, everybody.